In 2017, despite having a well-rounded team and making the playoffs, the Minnesota Vikings lost the conference championship to a Nick Foles-led Eagles in a year the Vikes were hosting the Super Bowl. Nick Foles was not an orthodox leader for the Eagles' offense. Him playing at all was a major news story. In retrospect, the Eagles starting Foles isn't the most surprising start of that game. The Vikings were led by Case Keenum. Keenum was never supposed to play. The Vikings and their roster filled with blue-chip talent was built for Teddy Bridgewater, a young, promising quarterback who had suffered a terrible injury 2 seasons prior. After his injury, the roster was built for Sam Bradford, who was traded to Minnesota to lead the team to glory before suffering an injury of his own. The loss to the Eagles led Minnesota to pick up a quarterback who was a major upgrade over both Case Keenum and Sam Bradford. Kirk Cousins. In the 3 previous seasons, he had started every single game, providing consistent and smart quarterback play. Regardless, 6 years later and with only 1 playoff win, the Vikings find themselves once again unsure who their QB is. Earlier this offseason, they picked up Sam Darnold. Known as the God Emperor quarterback of the United States, Darnold was immediately polarizing. But with Jaron Hall looking promising as a rookie and Nick Mullins offering average backup play, fans were okay with the move. At least, Darnold was better than those two. Darnold's projection changed when the Vikings traded up to pick Jonathan James McCarthy, a college football national champion and top 5 quarterback in this year's draft. The Vikings have refused to endorse either Darnold or McCarthy, or even tell the media which way they lean regarding the starting job. For JJ McCarthy's part, he looked great in his 2 years of being Michigan's starter, winning the conference both years and earning 1 national championship. In his college career, he's thrown 39 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. In 3 years, he's grown stronger and more comfortable, leading a team that made the playoffs every year he's been there. This last season, he even went 7 weeks without throwing a single interception, playing top defenses including Rutgers, Penn State, and a Purdue team that generated 17 pressures on JJ. In the playoffs, he threw a comfortable 9 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions, big-time stats for the biggest moments in college football. JJ is a proven winner and a player well regarded for his pro readiness. Darnold never won a national championship, though he did find success in college. He took his team to the Rose Bowl as a freshman, throwing 5 touchdowns and 473 total yards. Both of those Rose Bowl records. Despite the hype, Darnold struggled through the middle of the season before getting into shape with 5 games left. Darnold's time in the NFL was much rockier. The Jets who drafted him were met with mixed play for most of his first season. After a return from injury saw a seemingly improved Darnold, he threw 6 touchdowns to only 1 interception, closing out the final 4 games of the season. Darnold famously claimed seeing ghosts while playing the worst match of his career, a 4-interception, 0-point loss to the division rival Patriots. In the COVID year, Darnold fell apart, and at the end of the season, the Jets decided to part ways with him. He looked even worse after being traded to the Panthers, throwing more interceptions than touchdowns in his first season there. Going into 2022, Darnold's time in the NFL seemed to be finished when he suffered an injury in the preseason. Carolina had Baker Mayfield, and after Mayfield's injury, PJ Walker's start, even when Darnold returned. It wasn't until Week 12 when Darnold received and made excellent use of a major chance. In the last 6 games of the season, Darnold had led the Panthers to 4 victories, while the previous 11 games only had 3 wins. After destroying the Panthers' hope of the first overall pick in the draft, Darnold found himself with a comfortable backup job in San Francisco. This year, he showed promise, albeit with only 1 start, and looked fine in a role of relieving Brock Purdy, especially towards the end of the season where he found play in all of the last 4 games. This season, the Vikings have the toughest choice to make for their quarterback out of any NFL team. The Vikings boast a much weaker roster than they have in recent years. Their interior O-line is very questionable, and despite having some good weapons around the field, they don't seem to have the best supporting cast around Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, and TJ Hockenson. If the Vikings are going to have a real shot at the playoffs, they will need above average quarterback play. Their division stars Jordan Love's Packers, a Lions team who are 4 points away from the Super Bowl, and a new look Bears that might just have a top 3 offense in the NFL. To have a shot at the playoffs, the Vikings need a quarterback who can not only match the talent of their stars, but also elevate the level of their role players. Whether either of these two quarterbacks will be able to do this is still unknown. But looking into the 2024 season, I cannot think of a quarterback battle more exciting than this one. Through training camp and the preseason, I'll be updating you on this quarterback race, as well as making plenty of other videos regarding topics and storylines about the NFL. Subscribe so you don't miss a beat.